spring planting time finally. It is mid-November. Eric and the kids and some farm help have been working really hard on getting all of our summer fields terminated, our tunnel flipped, cleaned out, added compost, the rows all fluffy and beautiful, and our plugs are starting to arrive, and so it's now officially time to plant. If you've been following our channel for a while, you know that we just had our 5th child in October, so I've been on a little bit of like postpartum maternity leave, but baby is 4 weeks old now. I'm feeling better. I also just want to be outside in the sunshine, feeling like I'm doing farm stuff and not just like inside sitting in bed. I've watched like all of Netflix at this point, so I'm ready to get back at it. And the first thing we're planting is Campanula. This is going in our tunnel. We have 3 trays of Campanula. We buy plugs because they can take a long time to start from seed, and I'm not the best seed starter, and baby, all of those reasons, we order plugs. But since I'm still technically a bit postpartum, my daughter is out here and she's gonna help, and so I'm gonna be in charge of pulling all of the plugs out of the trays, putting them in the row, and then she's gonna follow behind me like a cute little typewriter and help me get planting. But let's head over to the tunnel and I'll show you where they're going.
It is a Oklahoma day.
Yeah, it is. Welcome. So we're in our tunnel. We're in the back of our Farmer's Friend Caterpillar tunnel. It's 100 foot by 14 Caterpillar tunnel. We have whatever. Well, because I know you've whatever. We have 3 rows in our tunnel, and the Campanula is going in the back of one of our rows here. And the way that we plant them is we're going to do 6-inch spacing. You can do 6-inch or 9-inch with Campanula. If you do 9-inch, it'll branch a bit more and you'll get some smaller cuts. You plant them closer together and you get more of one bigger cut. I don't love pinching our blooms. Like, I don't pinch our snapdragons. I like the bigger, more impactful bloom that you get, and then we can charge more per stem. I might get some side branching. We'll see what happens in the spring, and we'll do a video recap of how all the growing went, but I'm gonna go with 6 inches. And by going with 6 inches, I can easily use the Hortanova netting, which you would use for netting your flowers. You can lay them down on your bed, and the squares are 6 inches apart. So it gives you like a perfect little grid for spacing, since we're not gonna plant in landscape fabric. We don't plant in landscape fabric typically for spring flowers because the weed growth is not what it's like in the summer. And for stuff like ranunculus, I don't want to put the fabric down because that's going to warm the soil, especially in the tunnel. And it's the roots of a lot of these spring flowers that you don't want to get too warm too quickly. So I don't want any fabric in our rows for spring flowers. We definitely put our Lizzies in fabric, but that's different because that's technically a summer flower. But Eric laid down the netting for me in the grid, but we do put a heavy mulch in our walkways to help. We do get weeds in our walkways and stuff, but because our walkways are so narrow in the tunnel, because we're trying to maximize grow space, it would be really tricky to get like a landscape fabric strip in here, because at this point our walkways are like 16 inches practically. So we do a heavy mulch, but I wanted to show you the process that we plant our plugs. Everything is about what is efficient and what's efficient for you and like the style you like. And so I think it's helpful to see how people do different things. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make it as easy on the body and as quick and efficient as possible. So what we have here is a cat and some Campanula plugs. I have an empty 10-20 tray. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna like find a spot to sit, and I'm gonna pop out all of the plugs of the color I'm planting and just put them loosely in my tray. And then I'll take this tray and I'll walk by and I'll drop it in each of the little quadrants I talked about. The reason I do that, I found, is if I'm standing here with the tray bending over, I'm fussing to get them out a lot more, and I'm spending a lot more time in like a hunched position, and over time that becomes really fatiguing. Even though it actually sounds really simple, there are a lot of plugs in here. So I found it's a lot easier to just find a place to sit and just with your arm movement pre-pull them out, and then you can easily drop them, and it goes so much faster than like the hunched over, because sometimes they get tangled and all of that. So I find that's the most efficient. And then also we use paint stirring sticks to label all of our flowers. And then I use a garden, it's called garden marker, and it doesn't fade in the sun or rain. So Ryan, my daughter, labeled them for me. But let's talk about the varieties, because that's the fun, colorful If you're used to our channel though, you know that we focus on growing fewer varieties. We're really ruthless about cutting down our grow list. It's more often than not we cut things than add things. But this is our one flower that we are adding next year that will be new. We bought these wholesale from another local Tulsa flower farmer last year for Mother's Day, and they were absolutely beautiful. I loved using them for Mother's Day. They filled that difficult gap for us. And so I want to try to grow our own. I don't want to just have to rely on other growers and buy them wholesale. So this is a new to us flower. I've done my research and stuff, but I don't want to give a lot of like specific how-tos yet until we do it successfully. So we'll do a follow-up video. But varieties. Campanula, also known as Canterbury bells, in the gardening world are considered a biennial, just like foxglove, delphinium, hollyhocks. But in the flower farming world, there are varieties that you can plant that if you plant them soon enough in the fall, they will bloom for you the following spring. So not technically a biennial like a foxglove and hollyhock that we're used to. But we are growing Campanula Champion 2 series. All three of them are Campanula Champion 2. There's also a Champion Pro. I don't know. You can research the differences. I don't even know if I remember why. I just like the colors I chose the best. But we are growing Campanula Pink. It's a beautiful, soft bubblegum pink. We are growing Campanula Rose, which is a deeper, closer to a magenta type pink. And then the third color we're growing is Campanula Lilac, which I think looks a little more like a fuchsia type purple rather than like a softer lavender in the purple family. But all of these colors together work really well, and they're going to go with peonies and bupleurum and larkspur. So I'm living in a pink, white, and purple world for this bouquet palette, which is why I chose them. White is beautiful, but white tends to not be the best choice for retail, and it shows bug damage sooner. So even though Campanula White is super beautiful, I didn't go with them. I decided to stay in the pink family. But what I need to do is I need to find a comfy spot to sit down, pull out all my plugs, and then get putting them in the grid so my daughter can start planting. And I'm also on a time clock of when the baby needs to eat. So we need to get going. Trays planted. This is when it's helpful to have lots of kids and wonderful kids that like to learn and work hard and earn their farm money from us. So they did a lot of help with the planting, but everything's in, and we used about half of this 80-foot row. The other half is going to get anemones and ranunculus here in a couple weeks. But these guys are planted. We're going to run the drip irrigation for a little bit. The soil is still really moist, so I think they're going to be okay hydration-wise, but I still think I'm going to run the drip a little bit just to be careful because they are going to get a little wilty with some transplant shock. We don't have really frost on the forecast and a deep freeze on the forecast. Campanula is really tough, so we're probably just going to leave the sides up. If we do get a freeze, we have low tunnels that we'll use inside our tunnel with frost cloth that we can easily pop up, so no big deal. But these guys take a long time to grow. We're planting in mid-November. They're not going to bloom until probably early May, so it's a long time to keep keep them alive, which is a little nerve-wracking, but they're so important to us on the farm that I'm super excited to try to grow them. But next up that we'll have videos for is planting ranunculus and anemones. We're going to plant some snapdragons. We've got larkspur going on in the field. Tons of planting over these next 3 or 4 weeks. But thank you for watching.